I'm sitting here with a linguist. I had no idea. I didn't know you were, but I didn't know that you were a wordsmith.
Call Jiggy right now. 267-22-JIGGY.
Hey Jiggy, what's happening, man? Reminds me of that David Bowie song. Jiggy play guitar, Jeff. It's a great name, man. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Presenting.
I'm Mike Massey, and you can catch me on Jiggy Jag TV and see a few of my trick shots there. Thanks very much.
Jiggy Jaguar.
I never knew what freedom was until I saw you lose yours.
Well, it is a fast and furious and wild-paced Sunday radio program today. We have some announcements we've got to make today. I just got the news. Just got the news today. I don't know. What was that song? Just got the news today. There was a song. It was it 1980s? Something. Welcome to Radio Xenu. Welcome to JiggyJaguar.com. And welcome to iHeartRadio. Talk Shoe. Everything else. Thanks for joining us today. We have got a great Sunday radio broadcast ahead of you. And we are taping this broadcast as I am on location as we speak at the XWE in Salina, Kansas, home of the shenanigans, as I like to say. And we've got a lot to cover today. We have got an interview with a Swedish heavy metal band. We also have Hassan B. Fly. We will talk to him as well. And we will talk to Jerry Bostic, Mr. Bombastic, although that's not Jerry. IWR, Imperial Wrestling, is going to be coming to Wichita, Kansas in the month of November. And we'll talk to him today as well. We'll also have a chat with a returning champion, Mr. Derek Stone. He's been on our broadcast some times in the past, and I wanted to get Derek on today to talk wrestling and radio. So we're going to do that today on our big broadcast. Now, top story. Let's do this. Our top story for this hour. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The Federal Communications Commission. Oh, how I love the Federal Communications Commission. Well, the FCC, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, voted today. When we taped this broadcast, we were taping this broadcast on October 24th. But the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, has voted to eliminate the main studio rule. The world of radio continues to go down the tubes as today the Communications Commission votes to eliminate the main studio rule. The FCC approved the elimination of the main studio rule at its open meeting today on 10/24. The change retains the existing requirement that stations maintain local or toll-free phone numbers in their communities and keep any public file material that isn't online in a file accessible to the public in the community of license, but otherwise deletes the requirement of locating a main studio in the station's community of license. The Commission voted 3-2 along party lines to approve the change. The chairman, Achapai, and Republican Commissioners Michael O'Reilly and Brendan Carr in favor, and Democrat Commissioners Mignon Clyburn and Jessica Rosen-Worsel voting no. Clyburn compared the change shows that the FCC signals that it no longer believes that those awarded a license to use public airwaves should have a local presence in their community. She noted the move contradicts the policy of promoting a job creation and asked, why would an industry that repeatedly espoused the virtues of its local roots want to eliminate the only connection that they have to the same community? She suggested that the majority could have extracted a more measured approach, such as a revised waiver process that considers market size and economic hardship. O'Reilly called the main studio rule a clear example of a commission rule where the costs outweigh any perceived benefit, and I'm pleased we're bringing the proceeding to a decisive conclusion. This item eliminates costly burdens that no longer make sense in today's modern world. He noted the rule does not eliminate the requirement that stations air programming responsive to the community interests, suggesting that the change could actually pave the way for an even more local content, especially in rural communities. I got news for you. Let me break this down for you, kids. iHeartRadio is going to close every single one of their offices around the country. You are not going to see any local radio, period. Anyone that is on local radio that works for a conglomerate is fired. And we're talking salespeople, we're talking the whole 9 yards. This is terrible for radio. But it doesn't shock me, as this is the march towards death. Ajit Pai said the overwhelming majority of the public input favored our proposal. I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. The NAB EVP of Communications, Dennis Wharton, speaking to the trade group, said NAB supports elimination of the main studio rule, which has outlived its usefulness in an era of mobile news gathering and multiple content delivery platforms. We're confident that the cost savings realized from ending the main studio rule will be revisited by the broadcasters in better programming and modernized equipment to better serve our local communities. We applaud the FCC for continuing to remove unnecessary and outdated broadcast regulations. The Commission approved the issuance of a notice of proposed rulemaking, seeking comment on the change of rule regarding filing reports on revenue gained from accelerated services that would eliminate the requirement of broadcasters publishing public notes in print publications. Clyburn voted to issue the NPRM, but called the public notice proposal a horrible idea with no discernible benefit to consumers. Quite honestly, the very notion that the public's first instinct is to check the station's website to find out if they had filed a license application, that's absurd. It seems sometimes this commission forgets that these are the public airwaves, and that comes with a series of obligations upon broadcasters, including to serve and be responsive to the local needs and interests of their community. Local? Why would broadcast stations get a about local people? Because they don't. Hyperlocal, all that crap, they don't care. Now, according to, there are 19 comments on this story on allaccess.com. Long Paul says a-holes. That's the first comment. Assholes. Scott Gilbert says, looks like a whole lot of people will be kissing their jobs goodbye. Welcome to iHeartRadio New York and everywhere else with studios in beautiful Denver, Colorado. Also looks like the upper tier management will be getting bigger bonuses this year, and it also looks like radio is about to die altogether by suicide. Big A says, as that great sage Chicken Little once said, the sky is falling, I felt it on my head. Bender says, very common sense idea that is long overdue. The Minois and Beaumont situations had absolutely nothing to do with the main studio rule, which was, after all, in effect at the time, and is completely irrelevant to the discussion. And Ms. Clyburn comes off as a Luddite regarding people's use of the internet to glean information. Alex Bennett says, well, if radio wasn't dead already, this is the nail in the coffin. Brett Halverson says, wow, it seems like you couldn't find an organization more determined, put radio on the path of self-destruction. This was basically mean one studio hub for 100 plus stations and a little investment in some toll-free numbers. Okay, all at once, bye-bye radio. Scott Gilbert says, hell, man, iHeartRadio has close to 1,000 signals on the air if you include HD sideband stations and translators. This will all be run from a central location. That's all, folks. Put a fork in it. Last straw. The thing that first made radio listening and attractive to new talent is gone. Let's see here. Big A says, funny, no main studio rule for streaming radio, yet it's not dead. The rule has nothing to do with staffing, programming, or local talent. Lots of local talent are already doing their shows from their home studios. Why do people hold on to obsolete regulations to preserve their memories of what once was? Have any of the commenters here even read what the main studio rule is? I doubt it. Let's see. Somebody responds and says, sure, anyone can do a radio show, quote unquote, from their home. Can't make a living on it. Now that the major companies can get rid of more employees, yeah, it's done. And then this Big A says, well, Rush Limbaugh does one from his home in Florida. Right. Rush has got, I don't even want to get into it there. Dan in NC says, I'm not a quote-unquote doomsday kind of guy, but this is not altogether in the best interest of the communities we each serve. That said, if quote-unquote local is your edge, it just got sharpened. Truly local operators should consider the sales and programming advantage of an actual community presence. Brian Black says, bingo, Dan. Make your station relevant to your listeners by being local, perhaps. And you can have an advantage over the rest. Just because they did away with the requirement does not mean that one should get rid of the studio. And Henry Nigro says, another Sinclair sucker job. So, that is the story from All Access. Basically, the FCC today voted to get rid of the main studio rule. And because of that, goddamn. God damn is what I say. I don't know what else to say on this. I think this is absolutely insane. I think this is absolutely, absolutely insane. This is the death nail of radio. You didn't think there was a death nail of radio before? Well, guess what? It is now happened. We are going to take a break. And when we come back, as radio continues to go down the tubes, we'll talk about the station going down the tubes here in a few, if you're listening to us on Radio Xenu. We'll have some news on that, as well as some other things. You are listening to the world-famous Jiggy Jaguar Radio Experience. It's the Sunday radio broadcast. We have more coming up.